Boggacorn? Boggacorn want to finish up the boat? It's time to put the final touches on the new boat, and that means one thing. And you guys are going to probably think I'm crazy, but there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for this, I promise. We're going to put 3 graphs on the front of this boat. I had somebody drop a comment on the channel the other day, and they're like, yo, Balls, you are out of touch. I'm like, whoa, you know, like, what's the deal here? And he was like, you know, with all the electronics that you got and all that stuff, it's not even fishing. It's just, it's beyond fishing. Like, it's lame. And I'm like, yeah, dude, pump the brakes for a second, because you're talking to somebody who comes from literally a rental John boat. Like, if you go back to the original videos, some of the original fishing videos on YouTube, like some of the first fishing videos ever on YouTube, which are mine, I rented a John boat, and I would, like, run a 49cc scooter with a 12-volt, like, at my feet, and a trolling motor chained to the back to go rent the John boat. So if you want to talk about being grounded, I think I kind of fall into that category. And the reality is when we go out there to fish, I want to do 2 things. 1, catch bass. And 2, understand what the fish are doing. And with the development of electronics, you can do more of that. So I'm willing to kind of jump into that. And granted, it takes years and years to kind of accumulate the electronics and kind of grow what you do fishing. And there's no doubt you have to be committed to it too. I am committed to catching bass, and I want to catch more bass and understand those bass. So one of the reasons that I'm doing this 3 graph setup is I really think it's going to enable me to be more detail-oriented, precise with how I approach fishing, also to react with more immediacy to what I'm seeing and how the fish are set up, because I'm going to be able to see how they're set up and what they're doing. So I'm willing to take that risk, and that's one of the reasons that we're doing the 3 graph setup on the front of the boat. I know I'm going to take some flack for it, but I don't really care, to be perfectly honest, because I want to catch bass, and if I catch more bass than the person giving me flack, well, yeah. So I made those sacrifices, buddy. Man, I hate styrofoam. It makes such a mess. So what this is the plate for our 3 graph mount. That's actually going to go right here on top of that nitro front plate, and it's basically like a steel plate. Because those graphs end up weighing so much, you need kind of a reinforcement to hold all that stuff. So it's sort of like the pre-base for the actual mount. So this is the cross bracket mount. It's interesting because this is actually a lot like what's already on my dash. So this is going to go across the bottom of the mount, so you can see right here. So this is the top, and then this bracket kind of mounts just like that, and then you can have your 3 graph spread that kind of goes right across the bow right there. Step 1, get everything prepped, grab a hole saw, and we're going to go right through there. So I got my hole saw cut. I actually threaded these guys in to just kind of hold the plate in place. They're not threaded all the way through. I'm gonna run all my wires through here so I have them all out and done. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put on that stacker mount. This guy right here. Recommendation from experience, always manage your wires. You don't gotta go crazy with it like beforehand, because we don't know what kind of lengths we'll need, but just keep your stuff organized. You'll thank me at the end of the process, or like a year down the road when you're putting on a new graph or something, because it's a headache when it's a mess. What we're gonna do now is, these are the actual holes that hold on to this bracket right here. You can see those things right there. So we're gonna drill holes right in this guy very gently so that we can put that nut and washer right through there and kind of hold it down. So basically we have our over-under mount, our plate right here, and then I have my nitro plate, and it's all gonna get sandwiched together. Once we get that done, I can go ahead and screw this thing down and start on the crossbar that's right over here. The hardest part is over. The over-under mount is mounted on the plate and then mounted on my nitro plate. Now we have this crossbar right here, and this is where you really need to pay attention. You'll see we're kind of in some tight quarters with my trolling motor, which is going to be the case no matter what kind of trolling motor you have, whether you have a Ghost or not. But you really need to figure out how this slide back, and this is one of the cool parts about this slide bracket, you can have it in a variety of positions. Now, my placement is going to be offset a bit. I don't want it to interact with the Ghost trolling motor, so I'm going to kind kind of set it over to the side, probably about right there. So I'm gonna dangle off and probably cover up my nitro trim tabs, but I'm not really worried about that because I really don't use them that much. So we're gonna be kind of offset like that. So we'll have these two graphs sort of stacked about on top of each other, and then this one off to the side, but it won't interact with my power pull buttons either. So let's go ahead and let's screw this thing down and get it set up. So this is gonna be my view from my cockpit. It's pretty intense right there. So we got this thing all set up. I actually grabbed a graph from my dash so I could test the spacing, because you can adjust these brackets around and move things around to sort of adjust. The last thing that we need to do is test the trolley. Cool. So we are good to go there. The trolling motor goes down. It passes right past the graphs as well as the brackets, so I'm good there. So my plan is, basically, I have that 3D nose cone that is for the 360-degree Lowrance deal on my Ghost, and so I'm gonna run that on one unit, I'm gonna run mapping on one unit, and I'm gonna run active target on one unit. This also will give me the opportunity to run maybe a full map if I want to. I can always run another, like one of these graphs with 2D and then a full map on there, especially when you're fishing like isolated structures like brush piles and that. Having that map and knowing exactly where you're situated amongst, whether it's like a little ditch, a brush pile or something, is super duper helpful. The other thing to note too is the reality is if I go fish in 2 feet of water and I'm fishing dirty junk water, I don't need all these graphs. So you don't always have to have them on, and the bracket really doesn't take up that much space, and it's not that obtrusive. So once again, this is a Precision Sonar. This is the 3 graph mount with the over under and then the slider bracket. It's pretty stout, and like I said, you guys can give me hell if you want to. I like trying new things and trying to be as innovative and efficient as I can, and I've been fortunate enough to kind of grow my collection of graphs and technology to go fishing, and I really think this is going to make me more efficient. It is kind of clunky on front. You got a lot of space, but the way it's actually organized on that Precision Sonar mount is pretty streamlined. I have my power poles there. I still have full trolling motor access. I'm not really losing that much space because all it's really doing is taking up that space on that bow sort of plate right there. I'm super excited. Like I said, this boat is going to be literally kind of a dream boat. So one of my dreams was to have 3 graphs on there to really just go as deep as I could into the electronics to figure out what these fish are doing right when they're doing it and be able to rack better. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go check out those Precision Sonar mounts and put some extra graphs on the front of your boat. Trust me, you'll like it. Tight lines, hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you later.